Hi, welcome to my channel, Better Monday Fasting. It has been months that I was dreaming of shooting this video. Finally, I got my Paraguayan Cedula. So I already had, I got my residency a few months ago, but the whole process has been a little bit, it took like 4.5 months more than what it was supposed to. But now I have my, my Cedula, and now, yeah, I can function. I'm a resident of Paraguay, so yeah, I'm extremely happy. So what brought me to Paraguay? To give you a little bit of background info. Yeah, I was born in Turkey, and as a child I grew up in Switzerland. Then in 99 I went to the US. I lived there 11.5 years in San Diego. I eventually learned like English, then Spanish. Then I came back to Switzerland, work at a startup for 5 years. Then I was unemployed for 1 year, and then I decided to go to Latin America. And that period when I the decision was like a result of me starting to start fasting. Actually, I had the idea before. I was like thinking about it, but with fasting, like I was like, okay, that's what I want to. That's what like it felt right to me, and it was one of the best decisions. So I came like first, like I wanted to open a coffee shop in Buenos Aires. So I went to Buenos Aires. I got residency there, but with fasting and like yeah, I mean like I was fasting a lot, and a lot of things like changed that period for me, like all my goals and what I wanted to do in life, and so I changed my mind. And also I was like, for some reason I started quitting coffee. I was back then I was doing like vegetable juice, and so I was more. So I started believing that maybe coffee wasn't healthy, you know. And so I stopped like drinking coffee for like 6 years or so. And in 2024 I picked up again, and now I drink coffee moderately, because before it was more of an addiction. Like I will drink 8 to 10 cups a day. So yeah, so I've been in Latin America for all this time. So after like the Argentinian adventure didn't go the way I wanted, I decided to. I found a job as a freelancer, and then I decided to live as a nomad. So I started that. So I went to Mexico. I went to Mexico, and then I went to Peru. I went to Chile, and then like I'll go for 9 months, and every 9 months I will come back to Buenos Aires, where I had my heavy stuff and my musical instruments, and then record some songs and then go. Then I turned like this lifestyle into a tour. I'm also a musician. Black Sea Storm is my musical outlet, and then yeah, it was great until there was the shutdown, you know, in 2020. Then I was blocked in Uruguay for 6 months, and then they opened the borders, and went back to Mexico. I tried to do it again, and I did it, but yeah, for live shows and concerts, it was difficult. Like it was very difficult to find shows, and like people didn't want to go out and all that. But I kept like the nomadic life, and I will play less shows, but be productive, put out albums, and I fell in love with my life. You know, this like nomadic life, living in Latin America. I was just like, yeah, that's great. Like it's just that I needed to make it sustainable, you know. And freelance, of course, it's better than a 9 to 5, but it's also very, you know, like 9 to 5 you have one boss, and now with the freelancing you have several bosses, you know. So then was like mid-late 2023. I was just like, yeah, I should become like an entrepreneur, you know. And generate like try to generate more like passive income, not to generate only income when I'm actually personally working, but setting up systems that can generate income. So then I decided, and it was late 2023. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start a business. And in 2024, I started a business. And then I was looking like how I can set it up and everything. And I was also thinking about tax-friendly countries. So I started doing a research. Like, so I love Mexico. Like, I lived in 23 cities in Mexico, and yeah, I absolutely love the country. But and I think in total, like during those like 8 years, on and off, like I lived like over 3.5 years in Mexico. So, but yeah, I should have taken care of the whole immigration thing maybe earlier, because as the time passed by, Mexico started, the immigration process was like you needed more money and you needed more paperwork, and also life got more expensive in Mexico. So I started doing more research. So I went to Colombia, then I went to Panama, and I fell in love with Medellin in Colombia. I love the city, love my routine there. Then for the whole tax situation and business, I mean, yeah, if you want to do everything by the book, it seemed a little bit like complicated. Then I went to Panama, and over there, like it was all set up for, you know, not pay too much taxes and all that, but then you had to invest a lot, like in terms of you had to open a company there, and I mean the whole package was very expensive, and they wanted you to live there at least like 6 months out of the year. And I didn't, since I lived in Guatemala, I lived all these places, so yeah, like the Panama, it didn't really click with me. I can totally see, I mean, there are a lot of Europeans, they love Panama. So I can totally see myself, like, you know, from when I was like super depressed in Switzerland, like the winter, and then you go to Panama, and so yeah, maybe it feels like, yeah, it feels great. But for somebody like me who already lived like 8 years in Latin America and went to a lot of like culturally rich places, yeah, Panama didn't cut it for me. I mean, and I think somebody like with greater resources, Panama can be cool. I think if you go for you already generate like a good amount of money, like then you get those flats in like the skyscrapers with they have those like buildings, like you have everything inside, you know, you have the swimming pool, the gym, the shopping mall, the restaurants. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs that are already successful, that they just they don't leave the apartment building, you know, and everything is like 5-star, and like so yeah, I think if you're in that league, it can be interesting. As far as I was concerned, I stayed at a hostel in Panama. It was great. I mean, it was nothing to complain. Like it wasn't they, with what they had, they did a really good job. Everything was clean, and but you were sharing the bathroom, and you had to organize to cook your meals and all that, like, because it's a shared kitchen. So maybe I didn't have the more like glamorous Panama experience, but I was like, it's really like it's a big investment. So last on my list, so then I went back to Colombia, and last on my list I had Paraguay, but I was that's why we should never be prejudiced, because I was a little prejudiced with Paraguay, because since I already lived in Argentina and I had lived in Uruguay, and both places, it wasn't my cup of tea. that much. Even though, I mean, Buenos Aires is a great city. I have a little bit like love and hate relationship. It's a little bit like Istanbul. So it has a lot to offer, but at the same time, it's a very challenging place. So I was kind of prejudiced. Also, Uruguay, it was expensive. It was boring, and it was really hard to socialize. I don't know. Like it wasn't a horrible experience because it was during the shutdown, and I think we were lucky because we could still go to the beach and all that. So I was lucky to be there, but at the same time, that's not the place I would like to live. And also the winters and in Buenos Aires and near the river La Plata, there are 3 months out of the year that it's just not fun. It's very humid. It gets really cold. It feels cold, like even though it's not on the thermometer. But so like I had this like little prejudice, and actually when I was touring, like when they blocked me in Uruguay, I had a plane ticket for Paraguay. So that plane ticket, I don't know, like they never gave my money back or anything. Like it went to once they shut down the whole thing. So that's why, I mean, I had been here for 8 years in Latin America without seeing Paraguay. And so when I came from Panama, when I returned to Colombia, I was just like, what should I do? I went to see lawyers, and Colombia, yeah, it seemed I really wanted to live in Medellin. But yeah, it seemed a little complicated, like business-wise. So I was like, you know what? Before making my decisions, if it's gonna be Medellin or not, let's go to Paraguay. Let's go to Asunción. So I booked an Airbnb for 2 weeks. Took the plane. I had really low expectations. I was just like, I was even like, I mean, I was really doing it like so. To be faithful to my system, you know, to my discipline, be like, you know, do the job until the end, because I mean, those are like life-changing decisions, you know. So you gotta be, you know, I'd rather waste like 2 weeks than waste a life, you know, the rest of my life maybe. So I come to Paraguay. So first impression, not very impressed, but it was kind of like intriguing, you know. And I think it was like it was Easter or something. I went to downtown, and the old downtown, and nobody on the streets, and those like brutalist type ex Soviet Union type buildings. I was just like, what is this, you know, like nobody on the street. Like it was super hot. I'm like all by myself. Yeah, I can go to the Black Sea Storm Instagram. I have pictures of that first day, and it was great to take pictures because it looks like a, you know, a ghost town, a ghost city, like. And then little by little, you know, I start getting a routine, and after a week, I was just like, this place is great, like, you know, like it really felt like. I don't know, like first of all, it felt like I was back to the 90s, and that's a positive thing for me. Like everything was more relaxed. It was like going back in time. And then people were so nice. Nothing like, I mean, I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but like nothing to do with my experience in Argentina or in Uruguay. It's a total different type of culture socially. People, amazing people, really warm, and you like. I had this feeling that you're secluded from the rest of the world. Like it was like, you know, like everything chill. Like it's a different reality. And I had already contacted a lady to help me with eventually with the immigration process. So I was already in touch with her. She already had my case. I already had sent some paperwork. But I told her, yeah, I want to see first, you know, like before jumping, before making any expenses. Yeah, I think it was like 6 or 7 days after I was in town. I was just like, yeah, no, that's it. And also like once I, you know, benchmarked it with Panama, I mean, the whole thing costs like 10 times less. And then depending with who you go with, it could be between 5 to 10 times less for the immigration part. And then you didn't have to open a company here. They don't ask anything. They don't even ask for if you have money or not. Like they just you file in your application and that's it. And yeah, they ask for your criminal records. And since I'm a dual citizen, I mean that's the part where it got a little bit bumpy for me. Like since I have 2 passports, I had to provide 2 background checks, and also there was a mistake, so it took more time. And then my background checks, they weren't valid anymore, so I had to order them again from 2 countries. And so it wasn't like, I'm not saying like it was a piece of cake, but it could be. I mean, if you're well organized and you're born in the country where you're holding the passport, yeah, it shouldn't be that complicated. So then I was just like, wow, this is great. And then also like in Panama, you had to stay they want you to stay there for 6 months out of the year, and you have to prove that you're spending money there. It's so that's like for somebody who has been nomad for the past 8 years. I mean, I've changed. Like sometimes I will go to a place and I didn't like the neighbors, I will just move to another place. There's no, if you're not happy, find happiness elsewhere. So I was just like that. So for somebody like that to be stuck in a country that is like Panama, which is for Latin America pretty expensive, and from my experience, not all that fun and culturally deep. But I was only in Panama City. I'm sure if you go to the island, I mean, I'm sure that it has a lot to offer. But I was just like, yeah, I don't want to live my life like in a golden prison, oh, I have to 1 more month and I can go to Colombia, like be like that. Like I don't want to live it like that. So, I mean, the benchmark was really easy. I mean, Panama had nothing. Like Panama couldn't compete for somebody like me. Panama has, there's no, yeah. Maybe in Panama it's more central, and Copa Airlines is great, it's like a hub, so maybe to travel it's better, and also you're closer to Mexico, you're closer to the US. I mean, it has advantages, and like I said, if you have greater means, yeah, it can be fun. I can see how it can be fun. So if you live on those like luxury towers and all that. But that's not my case. So yeah, so I was just like, yeah, let's go with Paraguay. And then so we did all the paperwork. In April we filed everything in, and they told us, yeah, it's in 3 months you can come and pick up your resident permit. So I was like, wow, that's great. So I went to Colombia because I already had a booking there. So I didn't want to lose my booking. I had already extended and they helped me out and all that. So I don't want to lose my booking and my money. So I went to Colombia for 2.5 months. And then it was in July. I was like, oh, let's go back and pick up the resident permit. I came here and bad surprise. The lady helping me tells me, oh, you know what? Like, because while I was giving my paperwork in, I think the clerk, it was her first day or something, and she was she was super anal with everything. And then once she saw that I was born in Turkey and I had a Swiss passport, and then she was like, oh, do you also have a Turkish passport? And I was like, yeah, I do. And I had it with me, in case. And she's like, oh, can we make a copy? And I was like, yeah, of course. So she made a copy of that. And also they wanted to see expired IDs from Switzerland to make sure that I didn't get the Swiss citizenship like 2 weeks ago, you know. So I told them, no, you know, I moved to Switzerland. I was a child, you know, like, my family moved there like 40 years ago. And so they were like, oh, it's just to back up your case. So you know, like without thinking anything about it, like I gave the paperwork. They made copies, but then they stopped the process because the Turkish passport didn't have a translation, and they didn't call us, so they just stopped. And so once we find out, like the lady helping me, she did the translations, and we get they communicate to us that the process was back on track, but we didn't know when they stopped the process, you know. So it could have been like 2 weeks before completing the whole process, or it could have been the first day. And it was more like the first day, I think, because they made me wait another 3 months. So I waited another 3 months. In October, I got my resident permit, and but now I had to apply for the Cedula, which is the ID card, and it's a whole different process. And that Cedula, that's actually it's almost like I mean, you cannot have the Cedula if you don't have the residency, but it's like you know, to open a bank account, things like that. Like you know, with the resident permit, you don't do anything. I mean, the resident permit just allows you to be here legally, but the Cedula is the most important part. So then we gathered all the paperwork for the Cedula, but then, like I said before, my criminal records, you know, they were expired. So another round of going to the Turkish consulate and contacting Switzerland and sending things with DHL that cost like millions. Like, I mean, it's quite some money, especially when you live here. I mean, to order the second time around the Swiss criminal record, it cost me with DHL and everything like 200 Swiss francs. I mean, that's like a month of minimum salary in Colombia or here, you know. It's but yeah, we gathered everything, we gave everything in, and then before, like they were saying, you know, like the Cedula, it only takes, you know, 30 to 45 days. It's not that long, but it took another 3 months for me. So I gave everything in October, and it took like 3 months and 3 days, something like that. So then I got my Cedula, and it was in January, it was like 23rd or something like that. So I was really happy. Like I mean, I lived like 11.5 years in the US, and of course I wanted to have a green card at one point. It didn't happen. I don't know how I managed that. Like I lived all that time in the US, and for a long time I was feeling like a loser, you know. I was feeling like, man, you lived there all this time and you didn't. I mean, I had like some temporary working permits and things like that, but it was I wasn't able to get a green card. But the destiny, yeah, I believe in destiny, because now I'm really happy that I didn't get the green card and U.S. citizenship, because now I have a business in the U.S. as a foreigner, and so I can open. So like I won't be taxed like personally in the U.S. because I'm a non-resident, a business owner, and Paraguay doesn't care like about if you make money in Paraguay, they tax you 10%, but everything you make outside of Paraguay, it's 0%. So it's a really good combo, and that would have not happened if I had a green card or if I become a U.S. citizen. So yeah, that's the beauty of it. Like it's and it was very because in the past, like I got really close to get a green card, and somehow it didn't work out. I mean, it was more difficult that it wouldn't work out than it would work out, but I managed to not making it workout, and it was really depressing I mean, it changed, it really affected my life, because then I had to leave the US, I went back to Europe, and then in Europe I was depressed, and because I wasn't happy, I was just like, man, like, I mean, there were days in Switzerland, I was just like, you know, I'll rather be like a person who picks up trash, professionally, I'm not saying eating in the trash, but like picks up trash in the US than being a white collar, depressed white collar in Switzerland, you know, like I was at that point, like I was missing the US a lot. But then, thanks to fasting, I got to the Latin America, and then Latin America and Mexico in particular killed my American dream. Because then I was just like, I realized that what I really loved about San Diego, besides like, you know, playing rock shows, like besides the whole rock and roll thing, and being able to see great bands and all that, and being a part of an amazing scene. Besides that, I think like, yeah, the reason why I loved San Diego was because of the Mexican culture. And my Mexican friends and how we get along, and their way of joking, and also Mexican women. I mean, like so far in life, I think I dated more Mexican women than Turkish women or Swiss women, you know. So it's like yeah, the Mexican culture is a part of my culture. Like I see it like that, and so when I went to real Mexico, then I was just like, wow, that's like San Diego on steroids. Like that's the real thing. So then I was just like, there's no. I mean, the good thing about San Diego, it's like you kind of live in Mexico, not fully, but I mean, if you want, you can have you can have days. I mean, when I learned Spanish, I'll have days where I wouldn't speak one word of English. You know, it's possible. And also, if you live in National City or something, I mean, you could live in the U.S. soil and have a full-on Mexican experience, like. But I always say jokingly, I mean, San Diego is like living in Mexico, but with the U.S., the first world infrastructure, you know. Not that the infrastructures are bad in Mexico. Like they're pretty good, actually. I mean, they have bridges, and you go to Durango and stuff, they have like, I mean, the freeways are pretty good. I mean, I did almost the entire country with like traveling with bus, and yeah, I mean, the roads were pretty decent. Then you have other dangers. I mean, now when I look back, I'm thinking like that I was a little bit crazy, like especially the border areas and stuff. Traveling at 2 in the morning in the bus and stuff like. Yeah, so then, you know, now like I have my cedula. Now I have more paperwork to do to get my, I'm getting you know, like a number so I can also do business here, like a tax number, so I can also because there are a lot of opportunities here. It's just, I mean, I think that's one of the things that excites me the most, like about Paraguay. It's like there's this like wild west, but you know, in terms of opportunities, but then it's very kind, you know. So it's the wild west in terms of, yeah, like you can have you don't have to be that creative. You take an existing business idea that works somewhere, chances are it doesn't exist here. So in that sense, it's very wild west, but then the people are really nice, you know. It's not cutthroat or anything like that, so they welcome you. I mean, that was my very first impression when I took a cab. My very first visit at the airport, and usually I like to talk about cab drivers. It gives you the temperature, you know. And most of the places where I go, it's like, you know, things are like, oh yeah, now like crime is going up, like life is expensive, like inflation, that type of thing, you know. You feel like, and it's like that everywhere, like, you know, and I mean everywhere, not everywhere obviously, but it's also like that in Europe. When I go to my home country, Turkey, it's all like, oh yeah, it was better before, and now it's so difficult, you know that. And here I take the cab, and the guy was like, yeah, there are a lot of opportunities here. It's great. There are a lot of people investing, and you know, like that was like, it shocked me. I was like, wow, you know. I mean, obviously the guy wasn't a millionaire himself, but he was like, yeah, it's happening. You know, it's happening. And he was like, and I asked him like, oh, what do people think about foreigners? And they're like, oh, we're psyched that they're here because they invest and it makes the country better. And so he's like, they're very welcoming. So he was already like, it was like my first 10 minutes in the country. Like he was already trying to convince me to stay. You know, it was so that was a good positive signal. And now like that, I mean, I've been here almost for a year. Like, yeah, it makes sense. It's really, it's an amazing place, and I'm really excited because, yeah, now I have, you know, yeah, I have my business in the U.S. I live here. Life is, compared to Western countries, it's way cheaper. It's, I think, one of the cheapest. I mean, it's even like 30 or 40% cheaper than Mexico. And you can access luxury things like more easily if you're into that. Like, for example, I invest. I have a membership for a sauna. I go daily. But for here, it's an upscale place. You know, it's like they give you like 2 towels, like clean towels. You have flip flops. You have all the cosmetics if you need it. It's like then you have a relaxed room. If you want, they serve you the local drink here, like the tereré. You have all the soccer games, you know. I mean, I met a lot of people there, and most of them, they're like executives, you know. People running businesses or bankers, like people like that. And they come to relax, you know. And that costs me, like, if I go every day, I calculate like a little bit over $1, like $1.30 or $1.40 a day. So, and they have another one in another neighborhood that is open Sundays, so I can do 7 days a week if I want to. So I usually do 6. At one point, during the winter, I was doing 7. And then lately, I mean, on Sundays now, I do deep house cleaning. It's also exercise. I like it because it's also exercise. It puts you in positions that you don't do at the gym necessarily, you know. So it's and I'm always like sweating and stuff. So now I feel good because I clean. Today is Sunday. Clean the house, and since last week with the carnivore diet, like I wasn't feeling very well. I skipped the house cleaning, so I had like I had to do it today. It was like a 2-week due. So yeah, that's the adventure, and really like I celebrate like being here. I mean, everything so far. I mean, I touch wood, and I feel really blessed. Like everything is like making sense now. You know, the fact that it took me 8 years to discover Paraguay. Maybe if I had come here in 2020, maybe with my mentality back then and how also Paraguay was back then, maybe it wouldn't have clicked. Because I will hear like really negative comments about Paraguay. There's this one Turkish like traveler. He's famous. He went like this guy is just like, he went everywhere, like everywhere, all the Siberia, I mean, you name it, like. And he said, and he usually never talks bad about any place, but he was like, oh, Paraguay is probably the only country I won't go back. And I'm really surprised because that's not like, I feel the opposite way. So maybe what happened to him, maybe he was in another place, like, because there's that border area, Ciudad del Este, with Brazil and Argentina. So maybe he had a better experience there, or because, I mean, if he had experience what I'm experiencing, that could not, like, I mean, you can say, oh, it's not my cup of tea, or maybe it's a little too chill, or I get bored. Like, although like I accept, but it's a super nice place. I mean, like I wouldn't put it, especially like a traveler like him. Like he lived in like, I think he went to Mongolia. He lived in like those yurts, you know, in tents, and he was, you know, he was investigating on the Turkish communities in the, yeah, in all that area, the Altai, you know, the Altai mountains, and so it's not a, yeah, it's a real traveler, and he's been around, and I don't think, yeah, missing a little bit of comfort will influence his opinion about a place. So I don't know what happened to him. Like, so maybe he was in that border area where maybe some bad things go on, and maybe he was unlucky and he had a bad experience. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm really happy to have my cedula, and also, yeah, to now, like for me, like it's a lot of people see Paraguay like a plan B, but for me it's plan A now. It's when I have a base here, I want to keep traveling. I really miss Mexico, Colombia, Guatemala. There are other countries I would like to see. I have on my list. So yeah, hopefully everything will work out fine, and the world won't go too crazy. That's another thing. Like, I mean, now like the world is really going crazy, but not in Paraguay. You know, if I don't watch YouTube here, you know, they have autonomy with electricity. There's autonomy with food. There are only 7 million people. It's far away from everything. If there's a nuclear war, it's in the southern hemisphere, so maybe it's better strategically located. But there's no, the people are not stressed out. Like, it's not like, yeah, that's the thing too. Like, I really feel like people are happy, like locals, and because sometimes, like when you know, you come from Europe or the US and you have the means, well, it's easier to be happy because, you know, you're getting more for your money. So like I always like try to observe the locals, but here they seem really happy. And I heard too, like it was like one of the happiest places on earth, maybe. I don't know. It's possible. I don't know. I mean, it always surprises me because, you know, when you see those charts, they always put Switzerland like first, you know, and I'm like, man, like I lived there a lot of time. Like, I don't know. Maybe for the real Swiss people, it's I don't know. Like, it's not like for me. It wasn't. It's the most difficult place. It's the most challenging place for me. And I mean, I admit that you know, in terms of material and organization, it's a really good country. But I mean, it's cold. Socially, like you gotta put a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time to make friends and all that. Like, yeah, it's I wouldn't put it. And also, people don't, especially where I live, like people are kind of grumpy, you know. like I wouldn't qualify them as happy, but maybe deep inside they're happy. And so I don't know how they do those rankings, but yeah. So far, it's the honeymoon period with Paraguay, and really happy to be here. Really happy to keep the adventure going there. And like now, I wanna belong more. I want to learn more about the culture. I have Guarani in my Duolingo, so it's here. There are two official languages. You know, there's the Spanish and the Guarani. And yeah, maybe next step is to learn Guarani, because I'm sure that's gonna open like a lot of doors. Like, you know, like yeah, you're like a Turkish Swiss guy speaking Guarani. It could have its effects. And yeah, also like I would like to learn, because so far I only know Asuncion. because I'm taking by work, and also the all this you know, like the immigration process. Like I always wanted to be present. Like I don't see myself like you know, traveling and all that, like during that before things are secured, you know. So yeah, so I think there's the whole country and a whole world to still discover. So I wanted to share this like good news, so like a huge news for me, and since I have my cedula, it feels better, it feels different, you know. And also like the other day I was thinking, like even when I was living in the US, I didn't desire the green card that much, you know. Like here I really wanted to belong, like well, in the US too, but it wasn't like this you know, like I was like, oh, if I don't have it, like I managed the way, and I did, you know. But here, like I was like, oh, if I don't have it, like I couldn't like move on with my project. So yeah, so really happy about that, and thank you for watching. It's been a pretty long video. So yeah, it wasn't a video about fasting really, but to give you more information about my my personal history, and yeah, like my Latin American adventure. So thank you for watching. Now I'm in that I'm in Iquasati. There's this like great mall. I usually don't come here, I don't live in this neighborhood, but once in a while, like just to break the routine, I like to come because you know, I'm always going to the same coffee shops, and in my neighborhood I have this routine of going to the gym. And so today I was like even though like the coffee shop near my house is like the most comfy, like to get work done and stuff, but I was just like, yeah, I want to just see something else, so a different setting, so I can yeah, refresh for the week that is coming up, and yeah, to try to get the most out of it. So yeah, I'll be sharing more videos on fasting, the carnivore diet, and also started this like walking reels. Like it's good, it's a good example, because like with this format like I'm shooting right now, I go on forever, like it's like, you know, but I'm trying to make like under a minute reels, you know, with more to the point, to eventually bring more people to those videos and the book, because the real information is in the book. And so yeah, kind of I never wanted to become a YouTuber, but yeah, now I think it's the way to go, you know, with to have a personal brand. Yeah, put your face in front, and try to, you know, share the message of the things you believe in and the products you believe in, and I think that's the way to go. So still learning still learning, and still getting back to speaking English. I think it got better. I think like I've already shot like 60 videos or something, like, so I think the English is getting better. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in another video, hopefully on the channel. Thanks.